A bill that aims to limit how cities and counties can legally offer Idahoans protection from discrimination moves forward in the Idaho State House. I'm your neighborhood reporter Sahana Patel, and I spoke to elected officials and regular Idahoans with different opinions about the proposed legislation.
If this bill passes, then I'll be less safe.
House Bill 557, introduced by Representative Bruce Skog, would prevent local governments from enforcing anti-discrimination rules that go beyond state law. Right now, more than a dozen Idaho cities and counties have extra protections for people based on sexual orientation or gender identity. If the bill passes, the state's rules would outrank local ones. Lawmakers heard hours of testimony Monday, ultimately deciding in a 3-13 vote to move forward with the bill. Supporters say it would simplify laws and make them consistent.
And if you've got businesses in multiple places, all of a sudden you've got all kinds of different rules that you have to follow for your business. That's complexity at its worst.
Craig Campbell, representing a local voting district in Idaho, supports the bill and says local ordinances force business owners like bakers, photographers, and florists to participate in events against their religious beliefs.
Somebody said, hey, I want you to make this for essentially an LGBTQ event for me. I think it was a wedding. And he said, as a Christian, I can't do that. One person's rights shouldn't override another person's rights. We ought to be adults and go, hey, go find someplace else to get a cake.
Those against the bill say that once you open your doors to the public, you follow civil rights laws.
I don't have any more sympathy for them than I would for people who want to discriminate in their bases on the basis of race. But once you enter the marketplace, you need to abide by civil rights laws.
Representative Cheatham, who voted against the bill moving forward, calls it an example of government overreach.
I think some of the things we're talking about here are moral issues rather than law. We hear it all the time here in the Capitol. The feds are fooling with the state of Idaho, and we turn right around and try and do the same thing to local government.
City officials say the ordinance hasn't caused problems since it was enacted in 2012.
I was curious to see if we had had any complaints filed with the city in terms of residents who had experienced discrimination, and in particular around business complaints against the ordinance. We've just not seen them in the city since the ordinance has been enacted.
The city also says taking away local control makes it harder for city leaders to respond to community needs.
It's just really harmful legislation. We know it's targeting queer and trans members of our community.
But in Sandpoint, Mayor James Grimm testified that local issues did arise, including a transgender woman using the female locker room at the YMCA, which prompted complaints. Other concerns included housing discrimination. But the Idaho Family Policy Center, which helped draft the bill, says landlords will still follow federal fair housing law, and those protections will remain in place. Idaho News 6 will keep you updated as the bill moves forward through the State House. I'm your neighborhood reporter Sahana Patel for Idaho News 6.